Hi everyone, it's Helen here from Bodywork-Pilates, and today we're going to do a little lower back release using the midi squashy ball. So just before we come down to line it, I'm going to be talking about whether the ball's going to be a disc or a wedge. So when we put the ball at the back of the pelvis, it goes to that little traveline shaped bone that disappears between your buttocks. So it's going to be right behind the lower portion of the belly, just above the pubic bone, at the back of the pelvis. And when you put your weight down onto it, the ball should become a disc, so fairly even all the way round. If you were to drop your weight heavily back as if you were moving into shoulder bridge, the air would pinch the back of the ball, the air would move towards the heels, it would become a wedge. Similarly, if we were to overarch over the ball, exaggerate the arch in the back, then the ball would pinch towards the heels and the air would be pushed towards our shoulders, and again it would become a wedge. So when we come to put this in place, we put our weight straight down on top, it becomes a disc. Okay, and that's what we're going to do now. So lay yourself down carefully onto the back, lift the pelvis and put the ball behind you. I often see people when they do this in classes, put the ball behind and then try and lie down. Lie down first and then put the ball at the back of the pelvis. So it's not in my lumbar spine, it's not in the arch of my low back. It's right behind that area above my pubic bone and below my navel. It's that lower belly area. And as I say, my weight just rests straight down on top. The shoulders are wide, back of the neck is long, and because my weight's straight down on top, I don't feel like I'm being pushed backwards. So the back of the neck is nice and long, the shoulders are relaxed, the ribs are relaxed, and all I'm going to do is literally just mooch around on the ball a bit. Just mooch around on the ball. So move the air underneath you and feel the pelvis just rolling around. You don't need to go mad, it doesn't need to be big, you definitely don't want to pinch into anything, so just let yourself roll around on the ball. And then just bring it back to centre, and once again let the weight rest straight down. Keep that slight corset wrapping around the centre of the body, that very slight corset, those deeper abdominal muscles. You may know them as your transversus, but it's that deep corset-like style of muscle. Shoulders are relaxed, arms are long. And from here, just bring your right knee into your chest. Now, as you bring your knee in, you may find that the back starts to flatten as you tilt the pelvis. So let your pelvis tilt, push that air in the ball towards the heels. You can take hold of the shin or the back of the thigh, it doesn't really matter. The ball's no longer a disc, it's now a wedge. And you'll feel a little stretch there. And if you wanted to, you could take hold of the back of the thigh, you can extend your leg and straighten. You may not necessarily get your leg completely straight, you may have to take it a little higher, but actually because we want to just stretch out through that lower back, I would say at this point, keep the thigh coming towards you, even if that means you don't fully straighten your leg. And you'll feel that compression of the thigh onto the belly. And take a few breaths there, and then release, place that back down, make sure the foot's down, and then change sides. Let the left knee draw in, and as the knee drops heavily in towards the chest, you'll just roll the pelvis up a little, and again, across the shin or behind the thigh, doesn't really matter. So just letting the weight of the body sink and settle down, and then perhaps taking hold of the back of the thigh, and keeping the thigh drawn in, because we want to keep that nice curling, rounding stretch. Then extend the leg, either fully straight if that works for you, or partially, it doesn't really matter. We just want to keep that weight dropping in. Shoulders stay relaxed. So if you find that you're overreaching, trying to do any of these, then just pop a little something behind your head. You'll find it'll really help to relax around the neck and the shoulders. And of course, don't overreach. Okay, bring that heel back down if it's raised. Keep that leg in place and then bring the right leg alongside. So you've got both legs drawn in. You don't need to extend up. And again, you might just find yourself moving, just mooching around a little bit on the ball there. It's a big stretch. The pelvis, of course, is being lifted, so perhaps a little more of a stretch than you would ordinarily get if your pelvis were on the floor. And then replacing one foot and then the other back down to the floor. Okay. So from here, you're going to extend your left leg away. So straighten out the left leg, keep the heel right down on the floor. Important that you keep the heel down on the floor. And just notice here whether that straight leg pulls you and whether it feels that your lower back seems to get any tighter. So we're trying to just put a little bit of openness into the front edge of the left hip. Okay, and then bend, replace and change. So just let that right leg reach away, let the heel rest down onto the floor, make no effort to lift and hold the leg. You just want to feel the legs reaching away. You're getting this slight openness. It's almost as if you were walking and it's that moment when the leg is just behind you having taken a step. It's that little bit of openness. It's nothing massive. Okay, bend that. Now then, you're going to extend your left leg away again. Use the hand if you need to steady yourself, but bring the right leg in. So we know from before that when we pulled the right leg in, there was perhaps an inclination to round and flatten the back out a touch, okay? Now we're going to do that again, but we're going to still try and press that left leg away. So you can see that when my knee is just above my hip, my left thigh's in place. If I were to pull my knee in, it's quite easy to pull my left thigh up as well, and I want to avoid doing that. So I'm going to bring my right knee in, allowing my pelvis to tilt, as if I were imprinting my back to the floor, but at the same time, try to keep that left thigh down. So I'm just opening up that hip a little bit more. And again, you can hold across the shin or behind the thigh. You can extend that right leg up to the ceiling if you wanted to. Doesn't matter, but you're just trying to get a little bit more openness through the front edge of the hip. A couple more breaths there. And then release that. Replace the right foot, bend the left. Now straighten out the right leg. Okay, and again, just try and keep that leg down as you bring your left leg in. And then as you add that little bit of a pelvic tilt, try not to let that right thigh come up. So you're just having to open up just a little bit more here. Shoulders are still relaxed. Let gravity help you. Just drop your weight back and down. That right heel is still heavy to the floor. Don't make any effort to lift it up. So we're trying to press that right thigh down, even as we curl the left side of the pelvis up. And you might feel just a little bit more stretch coming through that right hip. Couple more breaths. And then release, replace, bend. Okay, and then once again, just go back to a nice gentle mooch. A bit of a pelvic tilt, so it's almost like you're coming into shoulder bridge. So imagine that you're doing shoulder bridge with your pelvis resting on the floor. There comes a point where you can't imprint your back anymore because, well, you've hit the floor. And so when we've got our pelvis slightly elevated, we've got that little bit of space, we can inhabit that space differently. So really think, not of coming off the ball, but of just really curling the pelvis up to the ceiling, trying to shorten that front edge, stay soft in those ribs, moving that air through the ball towards the heels. You might feel a stretch coming up through the thighs, and then release. Just take it back to a disc. And then again, as you breathe out, make every effort to open up the space between those vertebrae in the low back, that feeling of tipping the pelvis over the chest, shortening the front edge of the body without being pushed backwards so our feet are firm. And we'll do that one more time. Feet are nice and firm, shoulders are steady, back of the neck is long, really looking to move the air in the ball, pressing the air towards the feet, and then release. Okay, lift the pelvis, take the ball away. Should feel really, really solidly connected down to the ground now. So just notice how that feels. It should feel heavy, should feel very open. Might feel warm, might feel slightly tingly, might feel even a little itchy if you've improved your circulation there. And then bring yourself carefully to the side and up to seated. So there you go. A little sequence just to release out some tightness around the low back, opening up a gentle stretch through the hips, just mobilizing and sort of self-massaging. That's what these balls are great at doing. They self-massage into tension that sometimes we don't even realize we've got. Really useful little sequence if you've spent a great deal of time sitting for any reason, if you've been in a car or you've been traveling or you've been stuck at a desk for some reason, or even over an extended holiday period. So there you go, little bit of a lower back ease sequence using the midi squashy ball. I will speak to you all soon. Take care.